You're listening to Retail Disrupted, a podcast that explores the latest industry developments and the trends that will shape how we shop in the future. I'm your host, Natalie Berg. Hello, and welcome back to Retail Disrupted. As many of you know, I tend to pause the podcast for the month of August. I think it's important that all of us have a little bit of a break, a detox, and come back feeling refreshed in September. So this will be the last episode of the summer. And when we come back in September, I have some amazing guests lined up for you. In fact, I have guests booked in every week from September through to the end of the year. Not really sure how that happened, but I have been totally overwhelmed by the interest in the podcast. So lots of great things to look forward to. I'm going to be speaking to some retail CEOs. I'm also going to be speaking to some founders in the FMCG space. And they are disrupting the market with fresh, new thinking, lots of interesting things to explore. I'm really looking forward to diving into those conversations. So lots to look forward to. If you are interested in coming on the podcast, if you're a retailer or a brand and you'd like to come on, please do get in touch. I know I just said I'm totally booked out, but there's always room for more. If you are interested in sponsorship opportunities, I have finally gotten around to putting together a little bit more structure behind this. So if you're interested in host-read ads or any kind of sponsorship opportunity, please do get in touch. You can reach me directly on natalie@retaildisrupted.com. Okay, let's get on with today's show. Many of our UK listeners will have heard of the new Holland Barrett format that debuted recently in Cardiff. It's been described as the future of wellness. It's Holland Barrett's first experience store, featuring an immersive wellness studio, health checks, biological age testing, free consultation hubs, and so much more. The store was developed in partnership with creative agency Sin. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Chris Newell, Sin's creative partner, and Richard Fisher, Holland Barrett's design manager. We talked all about the concept and whether we may see more of these stores popping up on our high streets. Chris and Richard, welcome to Retail Disrupted. I am really glad you're both here because I've heard so much about this new store concept. So I'm really looking forward to getting into the details today. Let's start out with some intros. And Chris, I'll come to you first. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at Sin?
Yeah, so I'm one of the founders of Sin. Three of us set up the business about 6 years ago. I'm one of the creative partners, so technical creative director, but partner as in founder. Been in the industry since, I'm getting old now. Early noughties when websites and all digital media was classed as new media. Believe it or not, if you remember that, new media. Yeah, and done lots of different things in the background, retail being one of the many disciplines that we've applied my brain to with a lot of talented people that's joined us along the way as an agency. So yeah, that's me, my background.
And Richard, you're heading up transformation of over 1,000 Holland Barrett stores, not just in the UK, but also Europe and the Middle East. Tell us more about yourself and your role at Holland Barrett.
Yeah, so my name's Richard, and I've worked in Holland Barrett for nearly 4 years now. I'm responsible for everything in the shop you can't buy. So the look and feel of it, how you sort of feel within the store. So yeah, we've done a massive refit program over the last 3 years. We've just done through 600 stores. We've refitted, got another couple of hundred to go. And so my responsibility is just making sure there is a consistent look and feel. And then as we come to the end of that, what is the future of Holland Barrett? What is the future of a store, and what do we do? How do we make that experience evolve and change and remain relevant for all of our customers?
Yeah, and I have a few of those as actual questions, so I'm glad you brought them up first. Now, the Cardiff store, I'm going to stick with you, Richard, because the Cardiff store is part of this £70 million investment that you're making. And again, not just in your stores, but also your technology and new product development. Can you tell us more about the refit program and where you are on this journey?
Yeah, so look, we got taken over. Holland Barrett was acquired by Letter One about 6 years ago. And they realised that our stores, and this is a customer quote, are old and dusty. we knew we had to make our stores more relevant to a modern high street. So we did our concept store in Chelmsford, and that just ticked all the boxes. It was a roaring success. So we knew we had something really, really key. We then took the key elements of that and worked out how to do that across 600, 700, 800 stores. So that's what we've been in the process of. Now we're coming to the end of that. We need to understand what the next iteration of that is. So we always viewed our refit program as version 1. And then we started to go to version 1.1, and then 1.2, and then 1.3, as we start to work on that journey of what is the future of retail. So Cardiff is another step on that journey, and it's where we start to push what retail and experience should be, and start to understand that we can't just carry on selling little bottles of stuff. This has to evolve into a wellness provider. And wellness isn't just product, it is a lifestyle, it's activities, it's advice, it's all things Holland Barrett are really well positioned to do.
And as it is a very experiential, very immersive store, I'm just wondering if you can paint a picture for our listeners. So if I'm a shopper, what am I going to find in this store that I can't find in my typical Holland Barrett?
It's a really good question. So we've taken the idea of wellness as a holistic approach. What we've done in Cardiff is that we've taken this idea that people are on wellness missions. People don't wake up in the morning going, I really fancy some zinc, I really fancy some magnesium. They actually wake up and go, I wish I'd had a better night's sleep, I wish I could lose weight, I wish my knees didn't hurt as much. And what we've started to do in Cardiff, and we will carry on evolving across the estate, is we've gone into leading with missions. So when we start to talk to our customers, we're actually talking to them in a language and a way they go, oh, right, yeah, no, I want my knees to feel better. And we can be able to start to say, well, have you thought about this product? And then the other thing that we've managed to then build into it is to go, right, well, making your knees feel better or lose some weight, you might want to do some other stuff to complement that. So we've built in a wellness studio. So at the back of the store, we offer a range of classes and a range of partners who can help you with Pilates, who do breath work, do meditation. We've also got blood tests. So you can come in and work with one of our partners. We have phlebotomists in store who will take blood, and then we'll be able to give you a really detailed answer on what is going on beneath the surface. So you can then build that into our app, our H&B and Me app. And all of a sudden you have something that's really joined up of some really good brands, some really good Holland Barrett products, some lifestyle choices, and then you can track that all through detailed knowledge through our H&B and Me app based on your blood test. So all of a sudden you're starting to see this isn't just coming in and buying product. It's about we can really help you and coach you on that journey of whatever wellness mission you're on.
Yeah. And Chris, from an agency's perspective, what were the key objectives of this store concept? So what was the kind of initial vision? I mean, Richard's just nicely laid out from a retailer's perspective, but I'd love to know, when Holland Barrett came to you, what were your kind of initial thoughts?
I mean, Holland Barrett for us as a brand, and I mean, it's one of those, even before, because it was the first project we did working with yourself, wasn't it, Richard, which was great. It's one of those stores that's been there in the background on the high street for years. I have gone in a few times myself over the years, but it didn't really stand for anything more. But it's always been that reassuring thing that's been on that high street wherever you go. The whole wall was all the ones that's drifted away over the years, and it's sad to see them go. The one thing about Holland Barrett is it's just always been there. I might not have had a reason to go there. So it was nice to start to focus our attention on it and go, right, amazing, learn a little bit about it, but then understand that a store in this day and age has to be more than just selling a product. And I think to get under the skin of Holland and Barrett, and it's not just around what it can sell, it's about what it belongs to as a thing. And wellness is such a big topic now. So I think just getting under the skin of the brand when Richard brought the brief with it to us, which was only actually for one area of the store initially, and we're a little bit naughty, but as we always deliver upon that ask, but we're always thinking a little bit more wholesomely around it. There was one area specifically that Richard asked us to look at, but we're looking at Holland and Barrett, looking at what the world is doing, looking at what a Gen Z audience is doing, how we can make some noise and give it, that sound. Is it that music track that Papa's got a brand new bag? It's like new Holland and Barrett is showing up on the high street. It needs to stand for more. So I think the initial approach to it was, well, it needs to, we're going to deliver a creative ideation to a specific ask, but what other things can we think around doing in that store? What can we make people feel as soon as they step through that door? And that was kind of how we approached it. From the offset, it was thinking around it, not just necessarily from what the key asks for, but what do we want that store to be doing? And I think the key is in that phrase itself. It's not just a store; it's a place to go. It's a place to be. If I'm thinking about wellness, and wellness is so wholesome, it affects everybody. It's not about just that getting the zinc. It's about what that zinc can then do to your life and to allow you to live your life to the fullest, do more. It all adds up and levels up, and wellness is so wholesome. And so I think the thinking was, what can we do to that store to grab the attention? And then once we've gotten them there, just to revitalise what Holland Barrett is around for everybody, not just the one person that's coming to that store for that specific thing, because there's so much more to the store and so much more to offer. And that was the approach. It was thinking wholesomely around it and then delivering upon that one thing that Richard asked us to deliver upon initially and get them excited about what it could become more.
Yeah, so interesting. And I think as a specialist retailer, well, for any retailer, there's a lot of noise out there. It's, it's a crowded marketplace. But if you are a specialist retailer and you have that authority, that credibility, it's about, I guess, shouting about it. And I have a couple more questions for you about the sort of customer experience, both from an employee perspective, but also from a customer perspective. So I guess first, if we just start with the customers, how have customers been responding to the new concept? I imagine, some will have walked in not expecting to find a Pilates studio and the ability to, I don't know, find their biological age out. So I guess there's an element of kind of surprise and delight. And I'm just curious to know if if shoppers have been surprised by some of these new features.
One of the key things we had to measure, we had to get better at, is attracting a younger demographic whilst not alienating our existing demographic. And one of the challenges I gave to Chris and his team was these two words, and it's meant to be awkward, was I want it to be showbiz. It's still got to be a commercial offer. It still has to it's still got to look beautiful. It's got to be all those things that shop should do. But it's got to be punk as well. It's got to get people's attention. It has to be disruptive. And the guys got it. They really, really got it. And so what our customers are, we're starting to see the initial feedback from our customers for qualitative and quantitative, and we've nailed it. We are growing that 18 to 32 demographic exponentially, and they are loving it. So that's really good. I mean, like, one of the things we did at right at the start of the project was create something that, and be honest, this phrase makes my skin crawl, but it's the only way I've seen able to get it, articulate it. It's got to be Instagrammable. So it's got to have that ability. Somebody walks in, takes a phone out, takes a picture of it. I want that. I want to give my customers something like that. And so Chris and the guys at Sin nailed that. They did this idea of a giant pillow wall, which was to symbolise wellness, which was, that feeling when you get wellness right. It's like having a lovely hug. And so they took this idea and they created this giant pillow wall. And we literally, I mean, if you look at the initial scamps and the actual store, they're exactly the same. We were really true to the concept. So that gets people's attention. It really layers into that. So our customers are loving it. We haven't alienated our older customers. At certain points in the first 4 meters of the store, the first 4 meters outside the store, 1 in 6 people are coming into the store, which most retailers will bite your arm off for that. So we have nailed our key objective to drive people into the store and drive younger people into the store. So absolute roaring success on that.
And from an employee perspective, you've both already hinted at the fact that physical retail is evolving and that it can't just be about shifting products anymore, right? It's got to be about creating those richer, more experiential connections with your customers. And I would imagine that has pretty big implications on the type of people you'd like working in your stores. How you hire, how you train, how you reward your staff. How have you adapted your approach and incentives to kind of reflect that shift?
So our colleagues are amazing. We train them for nearly 40 hours. Nobody else on the high street even comes close to that. So they are incredibly well trained. They are trained to an A-level standard. So when you ask for advice from a H&B colleague, they really know what they're talking about. And then we also support them with handheld devices called Cerebro, which they can then put additional information if they require it. So our colleagues love the store because it allows them to go, we've got some amazing new products, we have some amazing brands. The colleagues absolutely love it. And to then be able to say, oh, and by the way, if you use this and then take a class, I mean, it just empowers them so much. So our colleagues, and I mean, Ro and the team, just brilliant. So yeah, it's a good news story all around.
Yeah, and I guess sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was just going to say to elaborate on that. I think from working externally as an agent coming in and building this partnership with Richard's team and then beyond, back to what I was talking about. Such a trusted brand on the high street, and all we did really were creatively come at that idea, that thought, with lots of angles from a tactility point of view. Like Richard mentioned, the covered. How does it make you feel? I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I want to go somewhere to speak to people that I can trust. Now that's a huge thing in this day and age, especially more so now. I'd say. I mean, we started to work on the Cardiff store. I think it was like last June, July. And at the rate in which technology is progressing now, and obviously AI is amazing as a tool to use, but trusted information, especially through social media, and that's a huge thing for us, as and the way that we want to approach it. Holland Barrett are all around. They are people that know what they are talking about, from the products through to the people that they have in that store. So we really just impact that whole thought to want to get people to go, if I need to get information I can trust, that's not just because there's a lot of fake news pushed out there. I went to South by Southwest Festival the other week. It's unreal how much, there was one of the talks on it, and I was aware of it already, but it's actually quite scary that how much content is getting pushed out there, and it can be utter nonsense. So people will be looking more for a store like Holland Barrett that's been there on the high street all that time, to go to a place they can trust the information that they've been given, with the people that live and breathe it and are so passionate about helping people. And it's just a safe place to be. I think that is a key thing that, I know that wasn't necessarily a question that directed at us, but it underpinned a lot of the way that we approached it and made it belong to something more. But it wants to be a safe place for people to go for everything, and be trusted with the information they're going to get given by the people who are delivering it, that are passionate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, because it's not just the fact that misinformation or just poor information, or health information that's not relevant to you. Not that can spread so quickly on social media, and then you factor in AI and the fact that we are relying on AI more, which is amazing, but you do also need to do your homework. So I think that's a really interesting point, and how Holland Barrett has that trust and that credibility, and being able to shout about it, and to be able to have that kind of the store format, and colleagues that are, as you said, Richard, they're equipped with technology that enables them to deliver that experience for customers. And Richard, I want to come back to technology. So you mentioned those handheld devices. The Cardiff store has also integrated self-checkout and in-aisle payment, which I thought was interesting. So I wonder if you could just talk more generally about how you're using tech to enhance the wellness experience, and at the same time cut friction for shoppers.
If you want a grab and go mission, you can run in, grab a bottle of water, get out. We've also started adding in payment in aisle. So it allows our customers, if they've been having a real interaction with a colleague, then they don't have to go and join a queue. They can just finish paying in aisle, tap to go, we can get the bags, and they can be on their way. So we can then free up till capacity in a really simple way. So overall, they're using the technology in store, and it's a journey we're on.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I was touching upon that. Obviously, it's a tech-infused store. There's so much being integrated into the Cardiff store experience, but it's not to remove human. It's quite the opposite. It's to make it more powerful, more meaningful. So a lot of the interactions are not transactional. A lot of the interactions with the people that are on the ground in that store as a representation of Holland Barrett are there to help and to converse, and it's enabling everybody, the rest of it, to just happen fluidly. I think that's the beauty of that store, and all the technology that's been dropped into it to trial.
Yeah, tech-enabled human touch is how I refer to that, and I think that is, that's the beauty, when you can marry the power of technology with the human touch, the expertise that your colleagues do have. You both said right at the start how stores are evolving, and we've touched on it already throughout the conversation. But I guess we take a step back and we think about online shopping for a second, and how it's so easy, so accessible, so frictionless today. And I think the implication from a physical retail perspective is that stores have to work so hard to make sure that they're offering an experience that differentiates from that. So yes, you do need the digital ease, the tech in the store to offer that frictionless experience. But you've got to offer something more that you just can't get from a screen, where you're tapping into the shopper's senses, you're tapping into community, human touch, like we just talked about, curation. Um, and I suppose when we look to the future and the not too distant future, e-commerce is actually becoming more immersive because we have things like social commerce and augmented reality and live shopping. And then we also are going to start seeing these AI agents do the boring bits of shopping for us. So there's a lot of things happening on the e-commerce space. And I just wonder, like, looking big picture at bricks and mortar retail, what do you think this means for physical retail? What do you think retailers need to do to ensure that they continue to stay relevant?
Websites are great. They are brilliant at finding things if you know exactly what you want. Stores are great for browsing and for exploration and learning, and just going for that human touch. And we are facing into that really, really hard in Holland Barrett. So by doing experiential stores that have Pilates, that have blood tests, that have great customer interaction, we're doing all the things the internet can do. We're being convenient. We're being have stock availability, but we're doing that as well as all the other stuff. And then we're going to start making that line between online and offline. It doesn't need to be them or us. The trick now is going to be, okay, well, you can come into store and that journey will be very, very, very blurred about, okay, well, you come into store, you've explored. Now, can we do all the things the internet can do as well as what we do in store? So it becomes symbiotic. It becomes this ability to have an experience that you can enjoy and to also have all the convenience. Having them fighting against each other is not helpful. I think it has to be symbiotic. So it's very exciting, really, really exciting.
Because I guess that reflects the way that we shop today. We don't shop in silos. We don't think I'm going to go shopping online and then I'm going to go into a store. We just want to shop the brand. So,
Exactly.
Chris, you were gonna jump in.
Yeah, yes, it's a blurred line. So, I mean, online is generally convenience of time, isn't it? And I think it is blurring the lines between the both. It's not about I'm going to shop online and then never shop in store. It's part of the journey. I might shop online and pick it up in store, but when I pick it up in store, I'm going to be yes, I'm not going in there to spend all my time in that store to queue to pick the product up. Wants to be super quick, and then we've got them, the brands, the retailers, we've got them. They've got a captive audience for a period of time. What can we do there? Building the community. They are there. They're in that space. They're coming to buy your product. So they're clearly, they're there to speak to peers. They're in a surrounding where people are sharing the same desires. All of that aspect of it. So it's entertain, engage. It's delivering very different. It's making the actual shopping experience feel like you've not actually done anything, and that's the beauty of and that's obviously what online is, and especially with getting deliveries to you super quick these days. It's just auto convenience. So I think it's around thinking around what the store can do a little bit differently now, and making it an opportunity to whoever's stepped foot into that store for that period of time to think, I've just had something that I feel a bit different about. I'm going to have a different type of memory around rather than just getting a new product, and I'm going to have to come back again. It's about opportunity to do something a little bit different, entertain, give them something that they're not going to have been able to get if they've just clicked online and gone to pick up or get delivered. I think the opportunity for what bricks and mortar can do, and with people wanting to get social interaction physical as well, is a huge thing. That's going to be a thing that is going to build for quite a long time. The lonely generation is only going to get bigger, and it might be a little bit of a trending topic to say bricks and mortar is the new thing. It's not going to go away because people do want to be together fundamentally.
Yeah, it was the first thing we saw after the pandemic, right? We all missed being in our stores. We missed our high streets.
One of the questions we asked was, how do we disrupt? How do we cause an absolute disrupt the whole the high street effectively? And we asked the simple question of, how do we do the flank wall? We were just literally, that's what we're asking, like, how do you do the flank wall? And Chris went away and got us, just completely got all these big questions that we've been sort of swirling about. I didn't even ask them of Sin, but they just kind of got us. And I think what was key to that was, look, I worked in agencies for over 20 years before I went to client side. paying for pitches is so important, because we pay for all our pitches. It's so important, and if you pay for a pitch, you get a much better answer. And we paid for it, and my God, the answer we got was just mind blowing, and it jumped us on so hard. So I think working with agencies like Sin, who are disruptive in their DNA, allows us to be disruptive in the high street. So I think that is a really, really key part of this story. Is we had lots of questions, we had lots of things we were just fighting with in the background, but actually what Sin did and what they got and did, that initial pack, it was brilliant, and just caused a load of disruption in our business, which was just driving forward.
Scared, didn't it, Richard? I think fundamentally, but that's the point of. I think there's a quote. It's the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who generally do, and that's just a Jobs quote. I think. We just want to do great work, and great work, it drives things forward. And we got asked to do one thing over here, but we were thinking about everything wholesomely and disruptive thinking. I think we did 3 different concepts. I think originally, actually, you reminded me. We've touched on this, didn't we? We did 3 concepts. The first one was the territory was called The Feeling, or That Feeling, and then we went a lot more safer. Saying safer, a lot more not disruptive, but still different. And I think we ended up developing the one that wasn't as out there originally, didn't we? I think, thinking that it was a bit too much.
I bottled it, didn't I? I mean, I said to you, give me an idea. Give me an idea that shows we've gone too far. Like that's I want to be able to go, "Whoa, that's a bit out there." And you gave it to me, and I went, "Oh, God, that is a bit out there. I'm not showing everybody that. That's too mental."
Got more than you asked for.
Yeah, and I showed the other 2 options to the business, and they went, "Oh, right." I went, "Oh, but there's this one as well," and they went, "Oh, that's the one we want." The really out there one was the one everyone went, "That's it. That's the one." So yeah, I bottled it. So shows how much I know.
No, so it was great, obviously, but we know obviously it takes a while to get momentum, and doing things differently is always a scary journey to take. But that's what innovation is. You're either a leader or a follower, and if you're not disrupting and doing things a little bit differently or massively differently, things aren't going nowhere. There's no progress. And working as an agency, we're all a collective passionate minds that just want to do great work. Good shit is one of our, we just want to do good shit. That's one of our internal phrases that we use. Give a shit, do good shit. But everything, it might not be something that we end up making, but we're going to always be coming at things with ideas and going, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that as well? And what about doing this over here, and not even within this space? And I think that excitement, that momentum was something that was quite infectious. And I think it's very valuable comment that Richard mentioned about pitching as an agency. Very hard, especially when you're working with pitches. Obviously, the agency has to cover costs and money, and it just makes everything a lot more smoother and more valued and appreciated, and it allows us to spend more time and building a partnership beyond. It's not just getting a brief and delivering something. We like to get under the skin of every part of it, and then we see ourselves as an extension of the team, and creating that disruptive momentum there, that people are a little bit like that infectious. Things are going to be different, and I dare say it was a big catalyst.
Richard, as we look to the future, do you see opportunities to roll this concept out, or maybe elements of it, to additional locations or maybe even new markets?
Yeah, absolutely. This is another step on the journey. We see this as version 1.3. There will be a 1.4. There will be a 1.5. We will carry on evolving. I mean, there are very few hard and fast rules in retail, but one is evolve or die. So we will carry on evolving and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, because our customers now expect it, and we want to be able to deliver for our customers, adding quality years to life. So yeah, this is another step on the journey, and that journey will continue relentlessly.
Fantastic. Chris, one final question for you. There are a lot of other retailers listening in. If they're feeling inspired by today's conversation, what can they do next?
What can they do next? Give us a call.
Easy. I've teed you up nicely there.
Yeah. No, I think I did an article not so long since. They just need to just do things differently, like brief things differently. The agencies, there's a lot of good work comes from deep relationships and trust and allowing things to move forward. So just the world's moving at a rate of knots different to what it did, and like evolve or die, keep moving forward. You just need to change the record, think differently about the simple things around how you approach the brief in the first place, and how the responses come, and open it up to different people to think about different agencies. Don't be so insular. It's blurred lines, channels, and funnels. They all talk to each other now more so it's around communicating with your audiences at different times and doing different things, and that's the way that it needs to go. So, and it doesn't just come from doing things the same way all the time. So you just need to disrupt the way that you do things, to enable new things to start happening. And people, you need to be scared, basically, because stuff doesn't move forward unless you're scared.
I love it. Chris and Richard, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to hear more about the store, and I look forward to following its progress.
Amazing. Thank you for your time. It's been great. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Cheers that way. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Retail Disrupted. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the podcast, please leave a rating or review or share it with others. It really makes a difference.